Folks, welcome back. It is another Wednesday, and that means another edition of WhaT's, TrainWreck, WaTching. And of course, you know, it's been the talk of the town, especially this past week after that episode 2. It's Disney Plus's Loki. So let's get right into it. We've got our familiar panel here to protect the sacred timeline. Let's welcome to the show the Micah Man, Jake Micah, and of course, Joe Casali Files. Gentlemen, what did we think of this third episode of Loki?
Man, I really enjoyed this one. I felt like this one was definitely a good one with a lot of character development. It was definitely a slow build to it, kind of centered to just what's going on with what happened after episode 2. But I really like this one. It was just very enjoyable.
Yeah, I think a word, and I'm not trying to make this sound negative when you say it, but like necessary for this series, giving us that time, like just letting Tom Hiddleston and Sophia DiMartino cook and just like putting them in all these crazy situations and letting them like show off their chemistry. It's whatever the story that we're gonna get into later on where this is going. Like she's clearly gonna be as important as we thought like Mobius was gonna be early on in the series, and it's kind of taken that we were all hyped up for the buddy cop vibe of Loki and Mobius. And now I don't know, Loki and Lady Loki or Sylvie here, they might have taken the cake in episode 3. I think that ranking might be shaken up a little bit now.
No doubt. We are obviously, and again, this is starting to get into the spoilers of the episode, so if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out and then come back and give us a listen. But we're introduced to the other Loki. Her and Sylvie and Loki go through the portal into the TVA. And the next thing you know, they're facing down Judge R. Slayer. They're about to get, pruned. But again, we're getting into the spoilers. I guess what surprised you most from the early part of the episode?
I guess just kind of the chaos that started with, where they ended up in the TVA and then all of a sudden wound up in like this new world. Again, the world building from the MCU, which is great, takes us to different planets and stuff. Like, it shows that how big this universe truly is. And that's what I liked. And just seeing their chemistry. I think right off the bat, the chemistry between Loki and Lady Loki, Sylvie, however she goes by, I think right off the bat, it works. And just what you said before, the fact that, starting this show, we thought, okay, this is going to be pretty much, Mobius and Loki going back and forth, and now this is a whole new world. This is a whole different character, and it worked.
What the thing I learned the most was that the TVA really don't have the heavy hitters like that. Like one Loki gave them 2012 Avengers Loki there. He gave them the work in the first episode. He gave them a run for their money, just running around that place, got out pretty easily, has Hunter C20 wrapped up in the time thing there. And then this episode, 2 Lokis, like it wasn't even a chat. Like the TVA looked like stormtroopers out there. Like it wasn't even a challenge for them. So I just think that the power of 2 Lokis really showed off in that a little bit.
That was a great point. We got Loki like literally like with a starstruck gaze in his eye in the first episode about the power of the TVA. Next thing you know, they're running around like Scooby-Doo in the gang. But as we get into the spoilers here from the third episode, Lamentis, which is the name of one of the planets that they travel to in the episode, which we'll get to, we'll start off right there. They get to the TVA. Guys, this entire episode, again, spoiler incoming, no Mobius. Like we said, it felt like it was going to be Mobius and Loki the whole time, but instead, right now we're at the Catch Me If You Can part when Leonardo's in the South with Christopher Walken's family, and Amy. I think it's Amy Adams. I don't know if I remember. There's some weird. You know better than me, Casali. But the thing that struck out to me exactly like you guys have discussed is the chemistry between these 2 Lokis, Sylvie and Loki. I didn't really miss Mobius that much. We got a lot of him in the first 2 episodes. We really know that this guy is definitely in the dark. The TVA is definitely in the shadows. It's definitely a sketchy organization. But Casali, how did you feel with not getting any Owen Wilson in this episode?
I mean, yeah, he was missed for sure. It was. I've been loving his character so far, and just watching Owen Wilson in the MCU, like, come on, I can't get enough. But again, I thought it was still like, you know what? It was Lady Loki's time to shine, their chemistry. I think that's what I also just enjoyed about it. just, it gave them time to develop more and their relationship. That's what the beauty of having a series rather than just a movie can show. It's a lot more development. But, yeah, he was missed, of course. But you know what? We'll get more of them. And especially with what they were kind of tendering to with, throughout this episode, we learned more of, what the TVA is involved in.
Sketch VA is what they should call themselves.
So I am so anxious to see, maybe we'll learn a lot more about Mobius than we ever thought we would. So I can't wait to see more, especially from him.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting because you could tell right away like that it was gonna like the kind of episode that it was gonna be. Just when they ended up on Lamentis, we'll get to it, everything, whatever. But it's one of those things where you just said, like, unlike the movies, like, we would have had cutscenes back to the TVA, right? Like, even if it was like a quick, like, 2-minute, like, check-in, like, we can't find these two, whatever, like, there would have been something. But you get it with like a character show, and we're along for the ride with Loki. Like, we're seeing everything through Loki's eyes, like everything that's going on with how amazed he was at the TVA, and then coming to all the realizations he's coming to, along with now we don't know exactly how time works in that they've made that very clear, but you would assume that Mobius and the TVA are, during this entire time of this episode, were frantically trying to figure out where their two missing Lokis were too. So it's just interesting because that's like one of the notable differences with this episode that I noticed, rather than like it being like compared to the movie, because Falcon and Winter Soldier was kind of like, that felt more like a Marvel movie in 6 episodes. This felt like a very good TV episode rather than just an adaptation from a movie, just something different to explore.
I couldn't agree more. Them fighting John Walker in that warehouse, that was definitely a movie scene. That was sick.
Yeah.
So let's go. We're going to take a little break because the two Lokis get into it. They're boarded. They're on a planet, Lamentis, the name of the episode name. And it comes to the discussion of a plan or a thing, because Loki tries to tell Sylvie that he had a plan in this scenario, and she goes, no, a plan has multiple steps. So what you have is a thing. So we are going to play a game here on What's TrainWreck Watching, and it's called Plan or Thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a plan or a thing, and I'm going to let you guys choose plan or thing. Sound easy enough?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, we're going to start with Micah since Casales typically starts. Plan or thing, time heist.
It's a plan. Yeah.
Okay, multiple steps. I think that's fair.
Multiple steps. Yeah. I think that was a decent plan.
Okay,
maybe not the best, but
definitely could have been better. It was basically a thievery of other plans. But yes, we'll take that one as an acceptable answer. Casale, run, get help.
Oh, that's definitely a thing.
That's definitely a thing, not a plan, right? It's just one step.
It's just one step. Loki, he just goes for it. He doesn't have any time to reconsider what's going on. That's definitely just a thing.
Okay.
Loki's not on board with that at all either. Like, I feel like a plan you have to have willing participants in.
You can see it in his face right there. He is not in on it. Thor looks very excited. But speaking of Thor and speaking of Ragnarok, Micah, the Revengers uniting to leave Sakaar and defeat Hela. Plan or a thing?
Oh, that's a thing. That is the most ragtag group of heroes, if you want to see in there. Look, like Thor doesn't even have an eye. Like, he's the one sitting in the middle, and he doesn't have an eye.
I know they all respecting the guy who only has one eye. That's a tough situation, tough luck. You agree, Casale? Revengers a thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, Ragnarok is my favorite MCU movie. That might be a hot take, but I love that movie so much. But yeah, I mean, even the formation of the Revengers was totally just a thing. I mean, he didn't even know that Hulk was there, like everything. I could go all day about that movie.
Thor wouldn't have Loki. Thor wouldn't have Loki on his team willingly. If he was playing out, he'd be like, maybe we keep Loki away.
Yes, you keep him on the bench in basically every scenario. All right, Casale, on to you. This is a controversial one. Dan's fight to save the universe. Oh, no, I did the wrong one, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Dan's fight to save the universe.
Thing for
Planner
sure.
thing. That's a thing.
I
I
think
feel
that's
like
a
that was
thing.
pretty thought out. There were some good moves, a couple different steps.
I mean-
you got to distract him. You got to have, then you're grabbing the.
All right. Well, that's the thing with Star-Lord. I mean, yes, he does. He is a very musical kind of guy. The way that he has his greatest hits in the ship, and I'm sure he has, practiced some dance moves here and there. But I don't know. I mean, I think he was just going, "How am I going to defeat Ronan? Let's just go for it. Dance fight to save the universe.
Just good
Now-
vibes. That's how
now-
he beat Roman.
Just good vibes."
Very true, very true. Now in Endgame, he says it was his idea when they knock out Thanos and they try and take off the gauntlet. Is the plan to take off Thanos' gauntlet a plan or a thing on both of you? I feel like that was a plan. There were multiple steps. Yeah, they had to knock him out, and then they were going to take out. It's 2 steps.
It was a solid. I mean, Spidey was pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a
pretty
great
damn close.
idea. When
was a
you
great
saw it
plan,
happen
I
in
think.
theaters, you're like, that was an amazing idea. For sure. All right, but we are going down the stretch here. Plan or thing on What's TrainWreck Watching. We're talking Loki episode 3. But this could be a controversial one. Vision. Plan or thing, Micah?
Wow.
Ignore the ads on the sides. Breakouts might make you feel self-conscious.
They can. That's very true. Wow, that is a really tough one. I want to say it's a plan. It's Jarvis. Jarvis was a plan, I guess. No, it's a thing. They didn't mean it. It was a happy accident.
Okay,
I feel
happy
bad for
accident.
calling
I think
Vision a
that's
thing.
totally fair. And
Yeah.
then bring it home, Casali. Ant-Man entering the quantum realm to defeat Yellow Jacket. Plan or a thing?
Yeah, I would say that's just a thing. Even like that whole, his encounterings with the quantum realm in general, both times I think was more. It was just kind of, it wasn't planned out. He tried to do the best he could, and even when he was doing that, man, he didn't even think he was going to make it out, but somehow he got out and saved the day. So yeah, that's how Scott Lang goes.
Facts.
And just like this episode of Loki, we are going to finish with a bang here as we hit the second half of the episode, and we are off the rails on a crazy train. I don't know if I've ever seen a thinner train when we're trying to literally leave an apocalyptic world, but I'll digress on that. What did you think of the singing Loki? We've got, kind of a fight scene. It's very interesting to see. They got the mother talk. There was a lot to take in on this ride on the train. It was truly a crazy train.
Well, I want to start off by saying what I enjoyed very most about this episode. And it was even when they were going on the train as well. Now you could see I'm wearing Star Wars. I'm a huge diehard Star Wars fan. And I'm going to be honest, I got a lot of Star Wars vibes from this episode. Like when they were sneaking onto the Death Star, wearing the Stormtrooper costumes, just every which way, how they managed through.
I can dig it.
I don't know. That's the vibes I got. And I'm all for it, like I said. So, that was just very enjoyable.
If Loki should have gone Force Leia and zapped himself back into the train when he got thrown out.
I don't know. That would probably be very controversial.
Yeah.
I don't know if Disney wants to.
And by the way, you're getting
that
the
ride
awesome
again.
dynamic now, because in the first episode, we were virtually all in the TVA. But now that we're hopping in and out of the TVA, you're seeing that the magic activates and it deactivates. Early in the episode, you had Sylvie try and enchant a guard, and it's a great look on her face when she realizes it doesn't work. It's basically like getting buzzed, it looks like. And then you have Loki showing that he can teleport. I don't know if we've seen that before outside of like the first Loki, or sorry, the first Thor movie when they're in the fight scene with the Frost Giants and he does the fake out. But that's a duplicate, as we had the discussion last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. That's the thing. His powers come here and there. Like I guess that's whatever writing. Different writers through different movies. But it was still cool. Just to see them. Go one off on each other, figuring out like how powerful can the other one be, sorcerer or whatnot. I thought it was pretty cool.
I really enjoyed it. Like I was talking about earlier, it was just letting those two like show off all their chemistry in that scene where they're sitting there in the inside the bar or whatever on the train and everything. But what Loki's really shown me in this series, he just can't get out of his own way. Like he just trips over his own feet, all this shit. Like everything that he wants all this power, all this authority, but he always takes like the one step too far that messes with him, because he's a god of mischief, right? Like that's like he just can't help himself, and it's just perfect in this episode. You know, he goes out and he can't help himself and just needs to be the center of the tension. He's a part. It looked like a great time. Like I would love to hang out with Loki at the bar.
Guardian folk music.
My
I mean,
God.
come on, that looked awesome.
That was killer. So like I'd have a beer with Loki, but I don't know if I could trust him to follow through on life-saving.
No, not somebody you want to like start an LLC with. Definitely not exactly. Loki Lavison. No. So, anyways, they get discovered. They get kicked out of the train. Pretty good action scene. Sylvie takes one of her horns off, tries to stab a guy with it. Not the worst thing I've ever seen. And it really this is where we start kind of the beginning of the end of the episode, guys. They get vaulted from the train. They got to make it to the Ark. And then what did you guys make? I mean, we'll wrap this up in the next 5 minutes here. What did you guys make of this, I guess, the falling action of the episode post-train?
I mean, yeah, it was just seeing more of the planet that they were on, the destruction, their fight to, for survival. And I think that was, kind of cool because it showed, when Loki is at its worst, what is he willing to do to survive? And even, him and Lady Loki, they were like, you know what, we have to do this together in order to get somewhere and to get where we're going. So I thought that was pretty cool. Again, it, built more on their development, their character development. I mean, it's pretty, I don't know. It was really cool to see that. I really enjoyed that part.
I think a lot of it, what it rang for me with like just talking about how we've been on Loki's journey this whole time and everything is that like in a superhero movie or something, like Thor's flying in and like carrying that Ark out into space and like, doing some shit like that. And we get Loki like not even let like all this goes back to if he just gives her like the pad at one point and they trust her a little. Maybe he can't trust Sylvie. They both clearly have trust issues, but he clearly can't trust her enough to do it, and it just sets them all down this chaotic path, and he's just standing there in the wake of it. Like you don't like how many times have we seen any of our Marvel heroes standing looking disappointed about something like that? Like not really since Scarlet Witch in Civil War, like that kind of look on like of destruction that they know that they could have maybe helped with if they didn't mess up. So it's an interesting position because you feel like if they were like he was hyped up, he's like, oh, we're gonna go save these. Like, what if we save them instead? It really wanted to get like his hero moment going, and then it falls short. So I wonder what repercussion that has on Loki's like mindset right now going through all this stuff.
Well, even that too. I think that's actually genius also in the storytelling of this show, because not that I was worried ever, when gearing up for another Marvel show. I'm always down for it. But the fact that they were going to go back in time, because we grew with Loki throughout the movies. We learned to hate him. We learned to love him. We learned to not trust him and everything, to then, watching his downfall in Infinity War. So, leading up to this, where we knew it was going to be the old school Loki right after he lost in the Battle of New York. So it's kind of like, okay, like we just got used to loving Loki. Like, is it going to be a while till we love Loki again, or he'll let us love him? And I think this show is truly showing that, he is the anti-hero. He is he is everybody's favorite villain. And I think that's what was cool about his arc right here.
Most definitely. And then we have one of the bigger revelations as we get in our final 2 minutes here. The TVA kind of like filling their workers' minds. And so basically the TVA is shady as hell. There's no reason not to believe that Kang, we've talked about Kang the past week and week plus. There's no reason to think he doesn't even have variants of himself working at the TVA. It's just a very sketchy situation. And you can see with just the determination of Sylvie, the witting, cunning, constantly able to progress, whatever plan we need of Loki and the TVA, we are building towards a monster situation here in the last 3 episodes of the series. And I mean, let's face it, the multiverse of madness is on its way.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait.
Anything you guys are excited for next week's episode specifically? We're going to get Mobius back, obviously. You can't go back-to-back, no Mobius. Well, I was surprised we didn't see him in the TVA scene, though. All of a sudden, we just got Judge Arslayer.
I don't know.
Go ahead, Sally.
Well, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll kind of get, like, the different side. Even starting out with this episode, like we'll see what they were going through, trying to look for both Lokis. We'll see. I'm anxious to see what happens. I mean, who knows if they were able to get a. I mean, I'm sure with we're halfway there, so I don't think they meant their demise already. But it would. How are they gonna get off? Where they are. Like it's just they literally
You
are at the
had
worst
you
case.
talked about Star Wars earlier. This one was kind of like Game of Thrones when Tyrion Lannister was sinking to the bottom of like whatever sea he was in. Like Tyrion Lannister's not dying that way. So like what's happening in the next episode? That's definitely the biggest anticipation.
Absolutely.
For sure. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I want to see the TVA, what they've been up to doing this. And really the only person who apparently has answers of what the TVA actually is our friend Judge Renslayer there. So I feel like she's going to be revving up here in the second half of this show, because if these people don't know, if they don't know where they're coming from, she seems to be the only one that has an idea of what's going on. I wonder if the Lokis will be able to figure that one out too.
Yeah.
Quick 2-part question as we sign off for both of you. Do we hear Kang's name mentioned next week, and do we see Kang next week?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be too soon.
3 episodes to go.
It is. It is 3 episodes, but I don't know. I think that would be a little too soon. I mean, we definitely see, and even Jake has mentioned in the previous weeks of the connection between, like in the comic side of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll see, but I don't know. I think the MCU they'll still hang on. They got 3 episodes. I mean, even the past MCU shows, we didn't start getting post-credit scenes till like the final 2. So I think we'll wait. Maybe I would say maybe in 2 weeks for sure, but I don't know.
I was thinking.
By the way, the What's TrainWreck watching motto should be "We'll see."
We'll see.
Yeah, I know, right?
We'll see. I was, as you were saying, post-credit scenes, I was thinking that would be the perfect scenario for next week, going into the penultimate, you get his nice little Thanos reveal, like the end of Avengers.
I agree. I'm with you 1,000%, Mike. Something in the last 5 minutes, maybe a post-credit scene that, like, this is the guy. This is the big bad, and this is what you got to be worried about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For sure. Well, hey, I appreciate everyone watching, tuning in. If you're listening on Apple Pod, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, we appreciate you. And as always, here at What's TrainWreck WaTching, for Micah, Casale Files on Maniac, it's all about next week's episode.